Hi guys, this Pride project is going to be a cord and bead rainbow bracelet. So to start out, what you're going to want to do is take your cord and leave a long end free and line up your piece of straw so that there's a loose edge. You're going to hold the cord in place and begin wrapping the longer end around that shorter piece. I like to loop it about 4 times before taking the longer end of the cord and stringing that through the left side of the straw. When you're doing this, you want to be careful that the free edge of the cord doesn't get caught in the loop. So just make sure that that's sticking out and isn't caught in loop. Then you're going to want to hold your new knot in place as you remove the piece of straw. Now you're going to begin adjusting the ringlets that you've made with that knot before tightening. After you've adjusted and tightened your knot, you can begin stringing your beads onto the cord. We're going in rainbow order here, so I'm starting out with red, and you're going to string that on the longer end of the cord. Once you've done that, you're going to take your piece of straw again and line that up right up against that first bead and begin doing the same thing. Hold the cord in place and wrap the longer end of the loose cord over itself about 4 times, then turning it over and stringing the long end through the left side of the straw. Once you have pulled the cord all the way through the straw, again, you're going to hold that knot in place so it doesn't move too much. Pull the straw piece away and adjust the ringlets on the knot before you tighten it completely. You want to try not to move the knot too much, otherwise it could get messed up. But keep in mind also that the amount that the bead moves on the bracelet is going to depend on how far apart your knots are. Knots that are further apart also make the bracelet a little bit longer. Even though it is adjustable, if you want your bracelet to be a bit bigger, you can make those knots a little bit further and you'll have a little bit more of a size adjustment on the bracelet at the end. Something else that you might notice as you go along is that the longer end of the cord that you're stringing the beads through and that you're stringing through the straw might begin to fray a little bit. So what you can do is just trim the very end of that piece of cord and it's going to make it a little bit easier to string everything through. You'll see me do that in a minute here. Otherwise, you're just going to continue on with the same pattern with knot and bead, and then after you've added the last bead, which for me is going to be purple, you're going to put on one final knot just to hold that in place before you can move forward and tie the slip knot to finish the bracelet. So this is where you'll see me grab a pair of scissors and trim off that little tiny end on the edge of the cord where it's begun to fray. That just makes it easier for you to string the cord through the beads and through the straw. So after you've added all of your beads and your knots, it should look like this, and we can move on to creating your slip knot. To begin creating your knot, you're going to take the right side of the loose cord and lay that over top of the left side, flip it behind the back to create a loop, and do the same thing over again in front of the other loop. From here, you're going to take that same end of the cord and string it through the middle of both of the loops, and then you can begin adjusting and tightening the knot that you've created. You'll find that once your knot is finished, you'll be able to pull the bracelet apart to open it up and slide the knot back down the cord in order to tighten it. Once your bracelet is finished, you're going to have these loose ends here, and before you cut them, you can go ahead and tie just a plain knot somewhere right along the middle of the cord, wherever you want the ends of the bracelet to stop. Do that on both sides, making them as even as you can, And then you're just going to trim the excess after those little knots to finish the ends of the bracelet. Once you've trimmed off those ends, you'll see that you can adjust the size of your bracelet by pulling it apart or pulling the strings to make it a little bit tighter, and you're all finished with your rainbow bracelet.